Greetings, GrowCast listeners. Jordan River here, back with more GC, fresh off the presses, and I am on the move. Today we have an episode with Rhizo Rich. You know Rhizo Rich, you love him. Today we're going to talk about his new breeding projects, his grow styles. We're going to talk about the state of the industry and breeders and so much more. I know you're going to love today's show. But before we get into it with Rich, shout out to AC Infinity. That's right, acinfinity.com. Go there and grab what you need. Use code GrowCast15 for the biggest savings they offer. And they've got some awesome new products up there. Not only do they have the complete Grow Tent kits, my favorite place to get started because the Grow kits have everything you need. Code GrowCast15 works on those kits. But they also now have the electronic sprayer coming out. That's right, the electrostatic sprayer, AC Infinity style. They've got a pH pen you can grab, plus all the regulars, tents, fans, lights, grow kits, pots, scissors, sunglasses, whatever you need, AC Infinity's got it. Make sure to use code GrowCast15. It helps support the show, and it helps support your grow. So, thank you to AC Infinity for making such awesome grow gear. We love them, so go and check them out. And always use code GrowCast15. Okay, everyone, let's get into it with Rhizo Rich. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to GrowCast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you again for tuning in today. Before we get started, as always, I urge you to share this show, GrowCast Podcast. Find it on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe there. Share it with a friend. Turn someone on to growing. You know the deal. It's overgrow, people. Get as many people growing as we can. Go to growcastpodcast.com to see everything we're doing. Classes, membership, seeds, all the good stuff. Speaking of seeds, we've got an episode today talking about GrowCast Seed Co., talking about the state of the industry and some grow advice. It's going to be a good one. And Rhizo Rich is on the line. What's up, Rich?
What's up? How you doing, Jordan?
Excellent, man. How are you doing, my brother?
Good. Just busy as usual, getting shit done. Got the holidays going on, kids, all that stuff. So,
oh, yeah, I bet you're busy. All of that on top of getting ready with this pollination, the Apes in Space pollination that you've been working on.
Yeah.
I finally got to try some of the Apes in Space flower from the female that you had. I got to try a couple different strains over that Thanksgiving. Just blew me away.
Oh my God, dude. Everybody had such awesome stuff at Thanksgiving, dude. This is kind of embarrassing to admit because I've never fucking done this. I got so high at Thanksgiving. I didn't sleep that great that night just because I don't sleep great in spots that aren't my own bed, like a lot of people do. But on my way home the next day, I had to pull over at a rest stop. And I was like, I'm just going to rest my eyes for like 15 minutes, And next thing you know, I woke up, it was like an hour later. I guess I'd fallen asleep in the car at the rest stop. And I was like, holy shit. So I had to like hurry up and jet home, which was a couple hours away because I had to pick my kids up from school and shit. So yeah, I was definitely feeling it the next day still. So
that is dope. Producer Jay went into a coma at the end of the night. He passed out.
Oh, he did.
But then he was right back up. He was ready to go. Rugged Gent, legendary member of the community. He tapped out at one point. He's like, I can't smoke anymore. I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
And,
it was a lot, man.
It was a
lot. Great.
It was a lot. So just really quick, let's just discuss some of the top hitters. I got to try some of your Oreos crosses. Shout out to producer Jay's Cookie Truffle Shuffle.
Oh, he killed it.
Both of those phenos, dude. It was his first grow. You guys, if you're in membership, you know about the legendary producer Jay. It was his first grow. And man, he just hit it out of the park with your strains. He grew those two in a 2x2 in his closet.
God damn. I forgot it was a 2x2. Holy shit.
This is what I'm talking about, guys. Like, I love educating you growers and like going deeper into the science and stuff, but this is the code we need to crack. Like, first time grower, he's been smoking for a long, long time. Get him a 2x2 and get a couple ounces of the best flower he's ever had out of it. Like, that's the mission if we can get people doing this. So it was crazy to see producer Jay do that and then to experience these two phenos. Just really heavy sage. Everything from your Oreos line comes out looking like an A++. And then just really nice, gassy, sagey. Just lots and lots of herb and sage coming off there. You can smell it when it's been smoked in the room.
Oh, you definitely can.
Both phenos were impressive. One purple, one green. And they both came out amazing.
Yeah, I love them both. That that green was amazing. You were right about that. You were telling me all night because I hadn't tried it. I didn't try the green one until the next day, and I was like, damn, this one is phenomenal.
Yeah, that was killer. And then you brought some sugar cone wedding cake crosses from Dan the Man that were also really good that night.
Yes. The truffle cake, sugar cone wedding cake, he grew some, and he's got a really nice Pheno, so he gave me some. I brought some of that up.
I loved that stuff, man. That stuff is cerebral.
It's very cerebral.
I loved it. You said it was a little intense for you, right?
You know what? Like I was telling some people, I don't really get this anymore with weed, but this one does it. It gets me like paranoid, and not in a way that I enjoy. Other people, love it, and I do like it. It gets me super stoned, but sometimes it just gets me like, it gets me a little too paranoid or a little too aware of what's going around, going on around me, and a little too conscious.
That's a really good way to put it, because what I was just going to say is it's like a really mild acid trip when you smoke a lot of that strain. And when you said like aware of what's around you, that's like literally what LSD does. It like makes you more aware of.
Super aware, dude. And which in turn can make you a little paranoid. Yes. Some of us, it can make some of us a little paranoid. And that's what it definitely does to me.
That's good shit.
He also had some aquaponic grown Oreos and truffle cake #2, which was also amazing. It was probably his best run, aquaponic run. So he did an amazing job that run too. He's still a newer grower. I think he's at about a year, maybe a little over a year now.
Man, that was quite a lineup. Smoking all of those strains back to back to back to back to back. Just amazing. Had some Chrome 6 rosin mixed in there. Vanilla Rice brought a bunch of good stuff. The Bordeaux.
I was just going to mention him.
Yeah. Bunch of good stuff. I took home his Bordeaux. I was like, I need a butt of this, bro. Look, I never push people for free flower, but I had to.
I know. I was like, let me take home a butt of that that Chem Double D, and then a butt of the Rowdy Chem. I took some home too. He told me to take the whole jar, but I was like, absolutely not, dude. I was like, just give me a butt,
Oh yeah, that Chem Double D.
Yeah, it was super sour, dude, and I love sour shit. So I had to have a butt of that because you just don't see sours that much anymore. And that one was really sour, and the Rowdy Chem was nice and sour, but also had like a chemi gassiness to it. So both of them were just, I don't know. I was thinking I like the Rowdy a little more, but I don't think I do. I think they're both like equally amazing.
That's killer. I don't want to speak out of turn on air, but isn't the Chem Double D People Under the Stairs? Or he did all of his work is based off of that, I believe, if that one isn't his?
I am not sure. You could be spot on. I know he had a bunch of Duke Diamond stuff in there as well, but I do not know about the Chem Double D.
I'll ask Vanilla where he got that from. That Chem Double D was fucking good.
You're right. People Under the Stairs does do a lot of chem work, I think.
I believe so. Yeah, that guy's got some cool shit. Wow, what a great Thanksgiving. Thanks to everybody who came out. Thanks to everybody who hosted their own Thanksgiving. I hope you had a great one out there. We've been having a great time in the community for sure. But I got to try the Apes in Space, man. I know that it was the female and you're working with a male, but what a great lineage. What a fantastic lineage that one has.
Yeah, I wish I had more so you could have got you could have smoked the whole joint of it and you could have got more of the flavor. I just sent down to the last few buds of it. But it's definitely an interesting one. The female is earthy, gassy, kind of hard to describe. Once again, another complex one.
Yeah, I mean, you like gassy strains, and that's really what was
I love gassy shit.
Leaping out at me. But if you just break down the parents and their lineage, like the Apes in Space being Falcon 9 by Grease Monkey, makes a lot of sense, right? Like the rocket side and then the monkey side. So you got Apes in Space. But if you break those down, you've got Sunset Sherbet, GG4, and Cookies and Cream. So those are three of my favorite strains to work with.
I know, right? Can't go wrong with any of those.
And then mixed in there was an exotic strain called Tina.
Tina, yeah.
Yeah, so it's got a little bit of uniqueness. The Tina also carries some CBG. Mixed in with some serious, let's be honest, some serious classics. Sunset Sherbet, one of my favorites, washes super, super well. I love Sunset Sherbet Extract. That does really, really well. GG4, amazing. And Cookies and Cream, one of my favorites. So I'm excited for this pollination, man. Truly, I am.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And it'll be right around the corner here in December.
Great. Fantastic. What can you tell us about the lineup that you have, the different parents, and how you expect them to blend with this super gassy, earthy, and a little bit creamy cut?
Yeah, so there's some of the usuals, truffle cake, some Oreos S1, shit like that. But I also threw in some newer ones, this Purple Urkel Cake that I've been talking about from Fresh Coast. Like I told you, I don't know if it was a member pod or we were doing a live, but that one is so complex and unique. It's very hard to describe. It's like that term that people say if purple had a flavor, it's got that going on. I don't know if you call it like a grape kind of, I don't know if it would be like grape soda, possibly mixed with like a lavender,
Ooh, that
gassy.
makes sense.
It's super hard to describe, man, but it's unique. It's just different. Out of all of the plants this round that were new, like that one is the one that really, really stands out to me. Actually, our buddy Dan was over at my house the other night, and I took a bud off the plant, just had it in my pocket. And when I got in his car, he was like, "Holy shit, what is that smell?" At first, he thought it was something that he brought, because he was bringing me some buds and shit. But I was like, "This is that Purple Urkel Cake." So he got to smell it and understand how unique it is. But
Oh, man.
it's just different, man, and it's super, super frosty. It's a Fresh Coast strain.
So what I'm seeing here is an ice cream cake cross, and that's crossed to a Purple Berry Freak by Purple Urkel back cross. Interesting.
Yeah, if you go to Google and just type in Purple Urkel Cake, that's it. Go down to the second one called Vegan's Beans, and you'll see the picture of the Fresh Coast ones. It does say Seed for Change, and it's got a picture of a heart. Fresh Coast, I guess one of his really good friends passed away, so he did this strain.
Oh, that's sweet.
In memory of him. This is the picture on the pack with the heart.
Oh, there you go. So there's the lineage right there. Purple Berry Freak F2V2 by Purple Urkel BX1. And then that was pollinated with an ice cream cake.
But yeah, this is the correct pack. This is the lineage. The Purple Urkel Cake, ice cream cake, Purple Berry Freak F2, or Purple Urkel back crop. There's all sorts of shit going on.
So tell me about the structure of this one. Is it a short grower like a lot of Purple Urkels, or is it a decent sized plant?
Oh, dude. So I actually have 3 phenos of that one, and I have 3 phenos in the Garlic Ice Mist, but I only use the one. So the one that I use, the structure on it is absolutely incredible, dude. It stacks completely all the way up from the bottom to the fucking top.
Oof.
Like you could pull 2-foot-long branches off of it, and just the entire way up is flowered. So, I mean, it does not fuck around when it comes to stacking and structure. It does stretch, but it's not like an outrageous stretch that makes it not fun to grow. But it's also not like too stout to where shit overtowers it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I love those
It's got a
stackers.
really nice tight structure, but it still stretches and it stacks just beautifully, dude. Absolutely beautifully.
So that's going to be the star cross of this pollination for sure. I'm very excited for that one.
Yeah, for the new one, it's just different. It's something, I don't know, something I haven't smelled before so far as the terps go.
I want to talk about that. It's funny you say it smells like the color purple. This is a conversation that I've had with people. So first of all, I like anything that classifies cannabis in different terms than we're used to using. Like even the indica sativa thing. Like I love when I walked into a dispensary in Oregon and they didn't really have it listed like that. They had their own classification system, and it was like stony, sleepy. I remember specifically one of them was groovy, and it was like a bar rating, so like different attributes almost. And it's like, oh, this is a better way to classify it. When we talk about taste, it's really like, it's hard. It's hard to describe in words what you're experiencing and what flavors you're experiencing. A lot of time people make comparisons. Oh, it smells like cookies that were baked on hot asphalt, right? Like you're trying to elicit a comparison. But I've definitely spoken with people who do what you just did, which is this tastes like the color black to me. You know what I mean?
Terrible at descriptions, so that's as best as I can do with it.
It makes sense though. It evokes something in your mind when you think of the taste of a color, and I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, it's not just like grape by itself. You know what I mean? It just reminds me of purple. If it was just grape, I would have been like, it's just grape, or something easily describable. But it's just like all of these flavors that remind me of purple. And with cannabis, there's so many different terpenes and things going on. It's very hard to just like, at least for me, it's hard to pinpoint one flavor down. A lot of stuff is very complex to me. At least
Yes.
that these days, the stuff that I like is it's not just basic flavors anymore. I like good mixes of things.
I agree with that. I think that usually those are the ones that really jump out to people and stun people are the really complex ones. You keep going back for another smell because you smell so many different things and you're trying to pinpoint what it is, right?
Oh, definitely.
I think that's like an enjoyable experience for most people. But yeah, it's funny. I handed a member some flour that in my mind was very noxious and smelled like spray paint and asphalt and roofing tar. It smelled like
Oh,
it
shit.
smelled like that. And they were like, this smells like the color black to me. And I thought that was very, very interesting.
So they nailed it.
It was all, I mean, if you
Kinda
think
nailed
about it,
what you
those are
said.
all, yeah, like if you had to place,
Asphalt.
if you had to place like inanimate
Tar.
objects into it, a lot of those things are in fact like colored black. Like that's pretty impressive.
Yes.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. The other one that I like to say is high end and low end. I think this is one that people can like grasp conceptually more easily, but like brighter, lighter, sweeter things. It's kind of like an equalizer when you're looking at music being played and those bars are jumping up. And when the bass, the low end, when the bass is going, the left side of the bars are jumping. And when the high end, sirens going off in the techno beat, then you see that like tickling the high end of the bars. I can see flavor in that spectrum for sure. The high end of the EQ being like super, super sweet, berry, floral, moving down into the mid range of like earth and gas and stuff like that. And then the low end is like really funky shit that hangs around in your mouth. Yeah, that is one way I also like to kind of talk about flavors. I don't know. It's nerd shit,
No, dude, I totally agree.
So I just like to, find different ways to break down and describe these things. Always makes me interested. Okay, so the Purple Urkel Cake, that's going to be a start. Give me one or two other heater crosses that we should be looking out for in this pollination.
Like I said, that Purple Urkel Cake right off the bat. The banana runts is interesting as well. That one at first, when I was flowering it, didn't have the banana, but at the end of it, it gets very banana smelly and gas as well. So that's a good one if you're looking for some possible banana phenos. I personally love banana, and I find it's very hard to find a good banana smelling plant. And if you do, it's even harder for that plant or flower to keep its smell through dry and cure. It seems like it's like a very volatile terpene or something. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but from my experience, it seems like it's very hard to keep that banana taste around. So
I agree.
if you're into banana, I would go for that. And that's a sulfire cross. And then the other one that I'm pretty excited about, actually, there's two of them. A tectonic truffle female that I have, which is, of course, something that I bred. It's a truffle cake cross to peach quake. And that's a beautiful plant. It's very tropical smelling. It's not just like one fruit. It's like like tropical juice, Like when you look at a tropical juice label, it's got, 5 or 6 different fruits on there, bananas, pineapples, stuff like that. So just very tropical, not like regular fruit punch.
Oh my God, that sounds incredible. Those tectonics came out looking amazing. Every pheno I saw, including the one that I grew, which was like fucking peach spray paint. It smelled like peach flavored nail polish, I believe is how I described it. They're all incredible, dude. They're all so good looking. So you got a tropical punch pheno of the tectonic, which is going to get hit with the apes.
I did. So there's that one. And, usually I'm not like a big fruity terp fan, but the tropical is just different. I like the pineapple-y, different kind of fruit flavor. It's not like the usual fruit that I'm used to seeing. So I ended up selecting that one and keeping it around to breed with and stuff. So we'll have that one in the mix. And then, like I said, that other Fresh Coast strain, the garlic Iceland, that one excites me as well. It doesn't have as big a bud as like the Purple Urkel Cake or like a tectonic does. It's more of like tighter, smaller, frosty buds, but it does have that really like garlicky smell to it.
Ooh.
Grows really nice. I don't want to say like candelabra, but when you go to scrog it, just everything stays real like nice and even, really easily without having to do a ton of work on it.
Mm. And heavy on the garlic, you said. It smells
Yeah,
like raw garlic.
I don't know about raw. I guess there is kind of a difference between cooked and raw garlic.
I gotta get in there, dude. I gotta get in there. I need to know these things. Okay, is the garlic roasted? Are we talking?
Yeah.
Are we
Has
talking
it been roasted? Is it peeled garlic?
Are we talking like garlic bread?
No, I think when you say raw garlic, I think that's probably nailing it more than like a cooked or a
Stringent, kind of burns your nose. Because I've had strains that smelled like Italian seasoning or like an Italian restaurant. I've definitely had strains that smelled like fucking tomato soup and Italian Olive Garden. Smells like Olive Garden. But it sounds like you're saying it's more raw and like gnarly.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot of like GMO style garlic.
Yeah, raw.
So very, I would say, yeah, more raw, earthy going on in it as well, kind of like picked out of the soil.
Oh, damn, dude. That's what's up. Okay, you're at me drooling. So the banana runts, which holds some banana terps, and then the garlic iced mints, which is garlicky pheno. God damn.
That is the one. That one wasn't released when he gave it to me. And I know he has a strain called Garlic Icing now, which came out after Garlic Ice Mint. So I don't know if he just decided to get rid of the mint and change the name before he released it. And that's why I can't find info or what's going on with that. But I do have both the packs, and they're posted on my Instagram so people can see them. And maybe if they want to do some digging, they can go back to last year. The post is there. You'll see both packs.
We're going to get into some stuff later in this conversation about like, it's just crazy. The world of breeding has changed so much in 5 or 10 years. It's fucking crazy. I do want to get into all that, but let's stay focused. Let's keep my ADD in check. This pollination sounds great. We can look forward to the Apes in Space pollination drop, GrowCast Seed Co. dropping in December. Super, super excited, man. Super grateful for you. Always working for the community, as always. But I want to talk about some grow advice. You come on this show, people really like to hear us talk about the industry and like the community, but they also like to hear straight up grow advice. So I'd like to hear from you. I know you've grown in soil in small containers, with nutrients in small containers, and soil in living beds in the past few years. And you've conducted a lot of pheno hunts. So I want to talk to you about growing styles. Like, generally, I try to recommend to people that they do the style they want to do. I'm not the type of person who's like, oh, you got to change those nutrients, right? If someone tells me this is what's going on in my garden, my response is almost never get new nutrients or grow like I do. That being said, I think that there are like certain situations that suit certain styles of growing better, in my opinion. And pheno hunting is one of those. So you've like looked through large amounts of plants with different styles. What have you learned, and what would you recommend as the best style of grow for looking through a lot of plants in a pheno hunt?
All right. So, you definitely nailed some of my own thoughts here, that I never like to tell anybody what kind of style they should do. At least for me, I do kind of follow what another breeder, Loving in Her Eyes, says, which is it's somebody's artwork they're growing. So I don't want to like sway somebody too much or say this is the right way or this is the wrong way. I want them to make decisions and learn on their own. But with that being said, with pheno hunting, there are some things that, can make your life a bit easier if you're wanting to look through a ton of plants at once and do that multiple times in a year.
Right.
The organic laying in beds, you could definitely do that. You could have big beds and pheno hunt, keep plants small and flip them very small and, get an idea of what's going on in each plant. The only problem with that is for a new grower, and I think that's what we're going over here, right? Is a new grower pheno hunting.
Actually, I want to just talk about pheno hunting, and then next I want to talk about first-time growers.
Okay. Yeah, unless you already have dialed in beds or you're really good with soil, you might run into some problems.
So if you already have a living soil bed established, then pheno hunt and rip it in that. And what's the benefits of that system? The fact that all these different cultivars are going to be fed by the microbes. There's probably a lot of like nutritional benefits, and you can pack a lot in a small space. Like, what do you give? You give those plants like a foot and a half square each?
and flip them. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, I like that.
Keep them small, get an idea of what they're, going to do in flower. I mean, you definitely could go that round. It may be easier for you to just keep them in small pots and do synthetics. That's going to allow you to just make it a lot easier on yourself, especially somebody who's newer to pheno hunting. You're not going to have to dial in a bed. You can just kind of put everybody on a system.
True.
It'll allow you to kind of see as well, like, who's a heavy feeder, who's not. If everybody's on the same thing, you can kind of see, oh, this plant, it seems to need a little more, or this one's getting too much. So it'll kind of allow you that opportunity as well. Whereas with the bed, you still may see that, but they're kind of taking what they need. So overall, you might not see the heavy feeders as much.
That's a good point. If you're running a little too smoothly, you're not going to learn as much.
Yeah.
So a certain nutrient program might show versus, yeah, okay, that's a very interesting thought.
Which, just for somebody who's breeding, it might be advantageous to do that. You know what I mean? Because you know what your cultivars you're working with, if they're heavier feeders or not, which people will definitely be asking you.
Mm-hmm. You get to see what they're like when they're root bound. If you want to do it like that, that's another benefit to like smaller pots. If you want to run some stress tests, if that's your thing.
Yeah, and they're just in small containers, so it's just, you can pack a ton in there with small containers, especially if you're doing like 1 gallon or even less, depending on how you're growing.
You can also move them around. That's the other thing. If you're in a bed and you're pheno hunting and one gets fucking huge, you can't really like move anything.
I think you're definitely nailing a point I want to talk about too with beds and pheno hunting is, unless you're able to completely get around your beds and get in there and inspect very well, you might want to stick with doing smaller individual pots, just because, like you said, you can get in there, inspect everybody well, because this is a pheno hunt. So you really want to look at everybody's branch really well. You want to make sure you're not seeing a herm, a herm on this branch, or maybe the whole plant's herming. I know sometimes in bed stuff can get maybe you're behind a week, so they're a week taller than they normally were when you flip them. So it gets a little harder to look at stuff. And if you're in a bed where you can't get on the other side of it, that could be an issue. So
that is a really good point. Mobility allows you to actually inspect and understand these plants better. If you got a bed that backs up to a corner, you guys know I love growing in beds.
Oh, dude, I grow in bed, so I'm not crapping on them either. I'm just
yeah. But you know what I'm saying.
Honest,
you know what I'm saying, which is that back left corner that you never get to, and the plant's like smushed up against the wall. Like the bud ends up flat because it's like smushed up against the wall.
Always, dude. It happens every time. There's like a specific corner I can't even reach it. You know what I mean? So I'm one of those where it's just not a good idea to put stuff in the back there. But yeah, it's just stuff like that. Now, the advantage of being in the beds like that is, if you're pheno hunting and you are a grower who grows in beds for their personal head stash or whatever, you're going to get the true expression and see exactly, more than likely, what you're going to see when you start running that plant in your normal beds. Whereas if you're, running small pot synthetics and you keep your keeper and you run it in your organic bed, it might be slightly different. So just something to think about as well.
That's true too.
I do see slight differences in organic and synthetically grown plants. I'm not going to argue that point with anybody, but there's definitely differences.
And like you said, if you're breeding for your own stock, it would make sense to continue what you're doing, obviously.
Yeah, there's so many pros and cons to it, but I do think overall you're probably better in small pots, synthetics, seeing what they're eating, getting through it as quick as possible, keep, low volume of soil that you're wasting, or media, whether it's cocoa, whatever, and then on to the next run.
Moving things, removing things, it does become easier. So if you were forced to pick one, you're going multiple small pots with some sort of bottled nutrient program.
Yeah, except for me, I personally would do it differently, just because I've been doing it long enough, and there's stuff I'll put up with that other people might not. So I might do smaller containers, but do them organics, and just keep top dressing them as well as giving them liquid organics, like maybe Brandon Russ, like K-Humate and flour,
I know you love those small pot soil grows. You do a good
Organics
job of that.
alive. Yeah, so there, I mean, there's definitely other ways of doing it that you can do if you're okay with being out there and watering constantly and stuff. It's just all personal preference it comes down to, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, you're trying to look through as many plants as possible.
Yeah, and I like to
It
hear
might
what
be
a breeder would
easier to do
recommend.
smaller pots.
Right. Yeah. Like if you're forced to pick again, one of the reasons that like you're such a valued GrowCast team member, and it's sad that you don't see more of this, but it's like we said at the beginning, man. If someone has an idea of how they want to grow, if your mission really is to get more people growing, the last thing you want to do is tell them, nah. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I don't discourage anybody.
Yeah. So what happens is when people come to us, almost always they have a way that they want to grow. Like I want to grow in soil. I'm usually already going, right? Here's what I got going.
Yes.
Or I've already begun. I'm using GH. Like this is what I'm using. And we help them from there. But with like really beginner content, getting at someone before they start growing, that's a little bit different. Now I have to, it's almost like I don't recommend it so much that when people do ask me the question, like now I have to say which one I think is best, truly. Like I said, I think you can succeed multiple ways, but I want to hear your opinion on if someone says, I've never grown before. I've never grown cannabis before. What style should I use? What are you recommending them? What questions are you going to ask them to try to get more info?
Oh, man. First off, right off the bat, where are they growing at? Is it going to be in a tent, in a closet?
Let's theoretically say that they're our avatar, right? So they're a daily smoker and they live in a townhouse and they want to grow really high quality cannabis indoor and stop going to the dispensary and smoke better weed.
So they're probably going to be in a tent, more than likely.
Mm-hmm. They have a couple $100 to invest in an AC Infinity grow kit, maybe a 3x3, maybe even a 2x2, like Jay. Small grow.
Okay.
Yeah. Smallish grow. Let's say they're in a 3x3, and they've got all the stuff ready to go, but they need to know which style to grow.
Well, I'm definitely going to explain to them right off the bat the two main different styles between synthetics and organics. So I'm going to kind of give them the rusty course on those two per se, you know what I mean? And if they don't have their mind made up already on what one they want to go to. And hopefully that'll help them kind of choose. But if they go, I'm going to let you decide, I would probably put them in a really good fucking soil and put them in there under the, like you said, what, a LED. So we're talking
modern LED.
Infinity LEDs. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I probably would do something easy, like a basic, like living soil, super soil, but
in
something
a big pot?
In a big pot.
Yeah.
And if it's a 2x2, I'm probably just going to have them do one plant to start with, maybe two, just in case one has an issue. I don't want them to get discouraged, get halfway through and have an issue with one. And that was the only one they have to throw out. And then they're like, well, I don't want to restart. So actually, I'd probably have them start with two and just keep them small. That way they can also learn how to keep plants smaller, how to train them, stuff like that. And I'd probably put them in big containers, or I would just do one giant 2x2. Well, I wouldn't say giant, but one 2x2 bed in
that'd
the
be perfect.
itself.
Yeah. Yep.
Just so they had plenty of real estate to feed off the soil, and basically hand them some microbes or her some microbes and say, pour this on there and just give them a very simple regimen, because I've done it to quite a few people, and just put them in a really good, simple living soil and just had them go that way. And it's worked very well.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
On the flip side, synthetic can also be extremely easy just because for a new person, because it's just measure this and do it,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's dependent. And I really feel like you need to kind of just give the person a little rusty course on what's going on with each, and see where do their beliefs or what they want to do line up with it, and if the case is that they want you to pick, that would probably be the way I'm going to go, is a really good living / super soil in as big of a pot as I can fit in there, and just have them do the two plants.
Yes. Good answer. Comprehensive answer. GrowCast membership. If you love this show, you will love GrowCast membership, our little club, the Order of Cultivation. Go to growcastpodcast.com/membership and see the hundreds of hours of bonus content, the live streams that you can engage with, Q&As, and Discord access so you'll never have a problem in your garden again, plus members-only discounts, giveaways, meetups, and so much more. It's all waiting for you in membership. Go and give it a try. You can do a 7-day free trial, consume all the content, watch GrowCast TV, our weekly web show. It's on video, it's live. I love hanging out with the members, solving your problems, and doing these GrowCast TV shows. I write some really, really cool stuff for those episodes. And again, if you like this show, you will love GrowCast TV and everything we have in membership. Thank you so much to all the members. You help me do this full time. You are the lifeblood of our community. Thank you so much to all of my supporters. Again, go to growcastpodcast.com/membership, see all the offerings, and thank you so much for your support. GrowCast membership, everybody. I'll see you there.
If your goal is to get more people growing, like a lot of listeners in the show are interested in that, like you want to turn people on to growing. If your goal is to get people growing, I think that there are some things that really turn people off and deter them, like the average person.
I agree.
Us as growers, we're just used to it. But I think one of those things, what are you going to say?
Well, dude, that's, I really struggled with being honest on what I do, like an easy measure synthetic thing or soil. But at the end of the day, like you said, you're trying to get people growing. And the easiest way is just pick up a bag of soil and do this. If you send them to the hydro store, now they got to buy all these different bottles and measure shit. You're going to turn off at least a small portion or percentage of people to where they're going to go, I don't want to do this. I got to buy this shit all the time. A lot of people think that it's a weed just because of the name and that they should just be able to throw it in a pot of soil. And you can do that, but you have to have the right soil.
Yes, exactly.
You know
throw
what
in a
I
pot
mean?
of Miracle Grow and the plant gets all goofy and
do
shit.
That.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I think that
Yes.
overall that's going to be the most easiest and low stress way to get more people growing without them having to do more things.
The thing that I see that makes people's eyes glaze over is pH, dude. You talk about...
Oh my God, dude. It makes my eyes glaze over.
You talk about...
I don't pH or even like, I don't even like hearing about it either. So I feel you.
I don't want to hear that shit.
I'm in bed, so I don't even bother. But no, I hear you, dude. pH can be a huge turnoff for people.
I don't even know. And again, as a grower, you're like, what's the big deal? Like, it really isn't a big deal.
It's not a big deal.
It's not a big deal. But when you're talking to somebody who's never grown a plant and you say, okay, you got to give it food, right? Like that you mix in these bottles and you mix them in at a certain rate and they get bigger and you feed them more. And they're like, okay, I follow you. And then they're like, now here's an important part. It won't eat unless you pH it. You know what pH is? It's acidity. It stands for potential hydrogen already. Potential hydrogen. It goes into slow-mo.
Yeah, right.
And then
they're tapping out.
They're tapping out. They hear the Charlie Brown teacher. And it's game over at that point, dude. So I think some people...
I agree.
More like scientifically minded people are probably not turned off by that. But I think if you're trying to get someone to grow... Yeah. Now... The flip side to that, the other side that I will say for Team Salt and Team Cocoa especially is if you use those bottled nutrients and you do get past the pH thing and you do it properly, you're going to get a fucking huge yield and you're not going to ruin your plants with overwatering. Overwatering is probably the number one killer after you get started.
Definitely. Over, under, I see new people all the time, dude.
And honestly, soil is harder. Cocoa is a better medium for an air to water ratio perspective, strictly.
Definitely.
So there's definitely arguments for both, but I gotta agree with you, man. I think that just getting into the mind of a beginner, you recommend them to get into soil. You know what I'm gonna say. I love these fucking earth boxes, dude. Earth boxes. It's branded. It's on a caster. It's kind of clean. I think it's really appealing to a beginner. You even cover the soil with a little cover. You're not even looking at the dirt. You know what I mean? Like it acts as a mulch cover.
And I think it's important to get, like you said, the majority of people growing. I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago, and I told you I ran across somebody online that I saw, a first-time grower, and they pulled down a harvest, and it wasn't like the greatest, but it wasn't terrible. And their comment and their thing to somebody is like, yeah, I just don't think this growing thing is for me. I'm just a smoker. And I was like, wow, like how do we change that in people's mind? Because there's so many people out there that are just smokers, man, and they don't necessarily they don't want to grow. Some people don't even want to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I've got some really cool stuff up my sleeve that I think is going to make a little dent. If we can just make a little dent, Rich, this is how I see it. When you're dealing with numbers this big, you just got to barely move the needle like 2 degrees, right? It's something that we learned working in coffee. Coffee is this huge industry. If you just get a small slice and make a change, it has huge impact. So what I mean by that is how many millions of Americans smoke. Right?
Yeah, like, that's why it's important to get as many growing as possible. Man.
Dude, what if we can just move it 0.1%?
Oh my God. That's what I tell people too, dude. This 1% is a fucking huge number.
Exactly.
It's huge.
If there's 100 million smokers in America, right? I mean, that's probably seems about right. I think something like 60% of adults have tried it, minus the children. Whatever. Let's just go with the number 100 million for argument's sake. 100 million smokers in America. If you get 0.1% of them growing, that's 100,000 people, bro. That's crazy. That is a small army.
Divide that into 50 states, that's how many people you got.
That's fucking
It could be helping to supply everybody, so it's just
barely moving the needle and you make huge change. So
that's why it's important, to get as many growing, because we do need more people growing and just getting better weed out there to people,
Yes, dude. It's important. Sorry, do you have something to say
there? No, I was just going to say our little trip to Michigan, I stopped at a dispo or two on my way just to peep what was going on there, and just found some very interesting things going on. There's one dispensary, I'm not going to say anybody's names, but I don't know if it's a chain dispensary up there, but I know they have like 4 or 5 locations. And one of them happens to be one of them I've been to before with a buddy, and it's maybe an hour from my house up in Michigan. So I've been in there. They actually have decent product, like bulk and stuff. You can smell stuff, whatever. Not really a dispensary person, but they had, decent stuff. So when we were going to Thanksgiving or whatever, I stopped at one of their quote unquote sister locations that happened to be on the way, because the other one was out of the way, the one that's, kind of closer to my house, but the way I was going in Michigan wasn't that way. So their sister location wasn't really in the nicest area. And I found it interesting because when I went in there, everything was like worse than subpar, which you think obvious for a dispensary, but like, dude, some of the same exact strains, but like you could see their bulk was orange. Like everything was oxidized. Like all the flour was oxidized.
Mm-hmm.
All the like prepackaged stuff was from like May of 2023.
Yeah.
So it was pretty old. A lot of it was oxidized. I saw, once again, everything was just real orange and just terrible, dude. Terrible.
And that's a better state when it comes to going to the dispo, dude. That's one of the better ones. And I just don't think you can replicate it at scale and over time. And with the testing and the regulations, you get old product that's not as good as your craft homegrown quality.
Yeah, it was just interesting that the exact same company closer to my house just, has way better and fresher stuff. And this one's just, they're trying to sell stuff that I saw. It was like unsellable, dude. I couldn't believe people were in there buying it.
Exactly, dude. And you're right. That's what I describe as a hit or miss market. Like Michigan has some of the better dispos, but they're still hit or miss. It does.
That's why I was shocked.
Yeah, exactly. Here's how I describe it. Right now, I would describe Michigan as hit or miss, but mostly hit, whereas somewhere like Oklahoma is like hit or miss, but mostly miss. It just depends on how the market is going out there, and home grow is just always a better option, man. It's absolutely true. There's one big problem in the cannabis industry. This is something we've talked about off air, and I want to say it on the show and then get your opinion of it. There's a lot of things wrong with the state of the cannabis industry, in my opinion. But I think if you boil it down, one of the biggest things from the production side, from a quality product perspective, I think the biggest problem is this. Everyone who knows how to grow and has passion for the plant, and these legacy growers who have been doing it since before it was legal, virtually everyone who knows how to grow this plant does not know how to run a business, build a brand, be an entrepreneur. I can think of one, maybe two legacy growers who were doing it beforehand and now transitioned to legal, built a massive brand, and had corporate success. I think of Jungle Boys, and I struggle to think of another one.
Me too, dude. I mean, I know the entry to market is hard for a lot of people, so I understand that part of it too, but I totally get what you're saying.
Conversely,
100%.
Everybody who knows how to run a business and build a brand and has financial backing and has all the connections, your Crescos and your GTIs and your Curaleafs and your Veranos and your True Leaves. All these people know how to run a brand and structure a company, but they don't know how to fucking grow the plant. Their product is trash across the board. They literally don't understand how the product operates. They've never grown a plant. They think that harvest is a deadline date, that is delivery of a commodity by this date. They don't understand the flower at all. That is what I see as the biggest schism that's ruining the cannabis industry, because you either have people who are able to build companies and operate in this new legal market that suck at creating I don't even want to call it medicine, or you have these people who know how to create the medicine but simply don't know how to scale up. They don't know how to run a business. And
it's so true.
It sounds critical. Like, first of all, I don't know how to run a business, okay? I could do way better with GrowCast. I'm not casting disparagements on people. Running a business is fucking hard. Most businesses fail. Being an entrepreneur is not a surefire way to, you know what I mean? So I'm not disparaging anyone. It's just true. You spent your whole life learning how to grow. You didn't go to business school, man. So I understand it. Too. And I think that is at the heart of the issue. Rich, I want to get your thoughts on that before I spew more.
Oh, dude, you nailed like every aspect of that, dude. Every aspect of that. You're so fucking right, man. The people that have the money just don't know what the fuck they're doing. And exactly on the flip side, with the opposite, the people that do know what they're doing don't seem to know how to
put together a brand
or partner up with people without it turning into some kind of high school argument fest months later down the road, which I've seen numerous times as well, that me and you have talked about with numerous different people.
Bro, okay,
so businesses.
You just perfectly set up the next point, which is what you need. I think what you need in that case is good partnerships, right? If two sides of the coin,
super important.
You need good partnerships. And so here's my next question. My first question was, name a legacy grower that built a good brand. My next question is, name a cannabis partnership that's succeeded and gone big from a cultivation perspective. Again, is it just Jungle Boys also? I think there's multiple boys, right? It's not Jungle Boy. I think there's two of them.
Yeah, right.
They've stuck together. Dude, who else is there? Who else has teamed up?
I'm sure there's some we just don't know, but I can't think of any like offhand that are, bigger people.
Bizarre.
All, really.
Bizarre. I can point to plenty.
They must always flake out.
Dude, I can point to plenty of examples, like you said, of breeders who have collabed and then they have a huge falling out and then they're arguing online and all this fucking bullshit. This is, not only is it a bad look for our industry, but this is why we can't outgrow these companies, because people can't come together and be reasonable and have a collaboration of some sort. Instead, they want to grab as much cash as they can, call everyone else scammers, right? Point the finger at everybody else.
Oh my God.
And meanwhile, you know what I mean?
If you're not calling somebody a scammer, you ain't doing it right.
Apparently in the breeding world, and go lo and behold, every time the people who scream scammer end up being outed as a scammer. They're the ones who are sending
always
$500 russet mite cuts and all this bullshit. So and eventually their shit always falls apart. So I think what you need is real collaboration, and partnerships in business are hard, dude. That's why I'm grateful for you, Rich. I'm grateful for you, man. I was just going to
say, I'm very thankful for you, because if there's first of all, I don't think we've ever had an argument that I can fucking recall. And if there's ever something that we don't agree on, we can fucking get on the phone and talk about it.
That's the key.
And find a way to agree on it at the end, and nobody yells, nobody gets mad, nobody gets offended. dude, do you know how hard it is to find somebody like that? You are literally like the only person, and I'm not like some big entrepreneur, but I've run, 4 or 5 businesses at this point, and it's fucking hard, man, to find good people. Yeah. So I will say that is part of the problem, is just finding good, honest people that don't feel like they're owed something, or, a lot of people have this huge ego or something too in the cannabis industry, which is, they like to talk about humility, but they don't show up, enough of it themselves. Right. I'm not saying that across the board, but I've definitely seen it.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, certain communities have certain
a lot
feels.
Of egos.
It's true. There's a lot of ego so there was only one other community that I was like a big part of that I would very, very closely compare to cannabis in a lot of ways, which is the poker community, right? Everyone who plays poker kind of knows each other, and they're all on Instagram, and it's really similar in a lot of ways.
Is it pretty tight?
It is pretty tight, and they have their own quirks, right? Like, there are things that are true of the poker community that are less true of the cannabis community. I think big egos are big in both, but goddamn, these breeders and these growers, dude, they get a huge ego. It's really, really wild. And you're right. The key to good partnerships, clearly set terms and conditions and open communication. Because what seems to happen is, and dude, I've seen it time and time again. I've had it happen to me a couple of times.
You can't bring your egos into it. You know what I mean? Like, it's about sitting down and being a team, not one person.
And creating together. And here's the thing. Partnerships do have like disagreements and things. And if you can't come to the table and you're just going to blow up everything over like the first perceived slight, you're never, ever going to be able to succeed. It's true, man.
Yes.
It's true. So I think that's what we're missing. Why can't we get someone who knows how to run a brand well and ethically and still be able to honor the plant as a medicine, yet still be able to scale up and, let's be honest, do battle with these corporations who are going to be there, whether we like it or not?
They ain't going nowhere.
They're not going anywhere. So I would love to see somebody who is able to be good at both sides of those coins. But you know what? That's not my battle, Rich. My battle is, hey, we got home grow. We're going to take advantage of home
grow. Growing for sure.
I don't think I'm driven and energetic and smart enough to get into fucking politics and MSOs.
That kind of segues into another point. I don't get off track, but you're staying in your lane. And I see a lot of people like not doing that.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, they'll try one thing and then they're like, oh, let me throw this shit at the wall and try this other thing. And then let me throw another thing and let me throw another thing. And they throw like 50 things at the wall just to see what one ends up working. And I mean, I guess that's a way to go about it, but it's just not a good way to go about it.
Dude, listen, you just put a great cap on that. And I want to recap this whole kind of exploration into a few points of advice. I've brought it up on this show before. The first thing is what we said about good partnerships. We did a series called the Millionaire Series on a different show that I was editing and doing stuff on. And they were interviewing millionaires, looking for traits that they all shared. And the best decision you ever made business-wise was one of the questions. And a bunch of the answers were a good partnership. And the worst decision you ever made business-wise, almost across the board, the answers were bad partnerships. So partnerships are extremely important, is the first thing. The second thing is find where you're creating value and then stay in your lane. You know, it's going to get hard. Being an entrepreneur in any field is absolutely super, super hard. So stay focused and find a way to create value and just plug away at that. That's my advice. Do you have any advice to someone? I mean, let's be honest, man, the cannabis industry is on a bit of a dip. You know, it's been booming and booming, and then the cultivators kind of getting hit first, but there's still a lot of money flying around. Like, if somebody's getting into the cannabis industry with one idea or another in 2023, do you have any advice?
I mean, I guess hang on, you know? Like, there's definitely a ton of opportunity. So, I mean, it could go very well for you. It could go very bad for you. But, I mean, so far as advice, look, I think we nailed a big part of it is find yourself a good partner, even if you think you can do it by yourself. And maybe you can, and that's fine, but you should still find a good partner and somebody who elevates you while you elevate them. And like you said, which is a huge thing that we kind of touched on, but maybe not a lot of, is just make sure that you can communicate with the people you're in business with extremely well, which is, leads back to getting along and having a good partner. But just having open communication is so key, dude. And like, just setting those boundaries and being able to talk and everybody knows exactly where their place is and what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely, dude. So let's try to wrap this up into like a nice, neat package. If someone's getting started right now, the first thing which you said time and time again is, and I truly believe this in 2023, if your passion is in cultivation, God bless. You're probably not going to get rich. You're almost certainly not going to get rich, but God bless. If you're trying to make money in cannabis, picks and shovels. Who made the most money in the gold rush? The guy selling picks and shovels. So that's my first piece of advice, is probably sell picks and shovels instead of digging for gold. Do you agree with that?
I 100% agree. It's the shit that people are going to need for, like, dude, like AC Infinity, they're selling tents and lights. Like, even if they last years, people still have to come back and rebuy shit. There's going to be new people coming in. They're making the most money and they're not even touching cannabis, dude. They're just touching metal and fabric. So you're absolutely right, dude. A lot of these, like, don't think that when you, just because you want to get in the cannabis industry, like, you're stuck either growing or breeding or opening a dispensary. There's a million other opportunities you could be getting into that aren't involved in that necessarily, but are somehow linked to it down the road that, you could possibly open your own business to and succeed. So just don't be narrow-minded and think that, I have to do this or I have to do that.
I totally agree. I think that if your goal is to make a living in the cannabis industry, I think picks and shovels is the way to go. Find a way to create value. That is the first way to generate money, which is find a way to make people's lives easier, better, happier, funnier, teach people something. Find a way to create that value. Yeah. Stay in that lane. Like you said, focus on that thing. You'll need a good partner eventually if you're going to scale up. And then I would say, finally, just make hay while the sun shines. I think when things start flowing and going well, a lot of people are like, oh, I can handle higher expenses because my revenue's up and things like that. No, operate with a scarcity mindset now. Make hay while the sun shines, because it ain't going to be around forever. I very rarely does it stick around for 10, 20 years. So that's my final piece of advice. That was a good one, dude. Rich, you had some good points, man. That's good shit.
I appreciate it. That's what I see daily, watching other people's, but you know me, I like business stuff and watching other businesses and what people are doing, and just, I'm an evaluator, you know what I mean? So I like,
you watch Shark Tank. I know you watch Shark Tank. I don't know that, but I'm guessing that you're a fan of Shark Tank.
I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, except for, very specific things, but yes, I did used to watch Shark Tank, and now that you mention it, if I happened to catch it, I would probably put it on, definitely. It's just interesting to see what other people are doing, you know what I mean, and ideas, and you can't think that you have all the ideas as one person. Like, it's so interesting to see what everybody else is doing, at least for me it is. It's like growing. I don't want to see one way, I want to see everybody's way and evaluate it at the end and be like, man, maybe if I did this or that, took pieces here and there, it would work out for me or something.
That's a really good point. I just kind of want to end on this because what really piggybacks off what you just said, which is it's fascinating to see this culture transform into a market, because
oh my God,
you and I both look at it a pragmatic perspective, and people are allowed to disagree with us, obviously, but we both look at it from a pragmatic perspective, which is this is becoming a market. Someone's going to make money out there. There are going to be people who are commoditizing it. I want to see the good people making the money. Exactly. I'm not willing to just lay down and be like, oh, woe is us. We're a community corporate stepping all over us.
They're going to continue to if people don't step up and start doing shit on their own.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
People from our community, so don't be scared to get in there and do something, dude. Don't feel like, you're not allowed to start a business or do something. There's going to be people hating on you regardless, but like, dude, do your thing. You know what I mean? If you're a good person, I want to see you in the industry.
I totally agree. I know that I'm focusing in on the home growers, which is a small segment, but I'm realistic. I know there's a bunch of people that are still going to go to the dispensary that are never going to grow. And I hope,
definitely,
I hope that they're able to support people who deserve it, man, who care about the plant. So again, it's like vote with your dollar and vote for the people who are good people. You know, Rich, a lot of people say like, here's who you should spend your money on, and it ends up being them. So like an example is like, we came from, we stand on the shoulders of giants. We got to support the OGs. Me, I'm an OG. I'm the one that's an OG. We got to support the OGs out there. Shoulders of giants. My shoulders is my shoulders. You should buy my seeds. I feel like that's one example. What's another example? The best. Another one is like, I'm the best. You got to only buy the best. Like if you don't fuck with the best, are you kidding me? You don't fuck with the best?
All the time.
I'm the best.
All the time. And there's nothing wrong with having like,
pride, a little bit of pride in your work.
There's nothing wrong with having some pride in your work. But like I said, don't be scared to show some humility too. There's always going to be somebody out there that can, outgrow you or whatever, outfish you, outhunt you, whatever your thing is. So just, be a little humble.
Be careful with the best. I agree with that. But it always comes back to them. And I say, like support the people who you think deserve it. Like use your brain to see what these people are doing. And if they're good people who deserve to be supported, I think that's just like hard stop right there. So I like it, man.
Very simple. Yeah.
Oh, this was a lovely episode. I always enjoy talking about this kind of meta stuff with you. But we also got in some great grow chat, some pollination updates. This was a solid episode, Rich. Where can people find you? Obviously, growcastpodcast.com. What's the Instagram? The real Instagram?
Oh, man. At Rhizo_Rich ICC.
Don't fall for the fakers.
That's the IG. There's only one. I do have at Illinois Cannabis Consulting too, if you want to follow that one. But the one I'm on is the Rhizo Rich page. And for the apes and space stuff, I do want to say too, there will be some other strains we didn't talk about, not just those ones, but those are, the main ones.
Oh, yeah.
Then I'm excited.
Yeah, we'll be dropping that menu here soon. We'll have a whole full-blown menu. That's at growcastpodcast.com. Click on Seed Co. You're supporting us, you're supporting Rich, you're supporting the show, you're supporting the community. I do appreciate that. But no matter however you grow or whoever you're growing, we will be here continually to educate and support you. Thank you, Rich, for being such an awesome breeder, such an awesome educator. You kick ass, man.
Dude, thank you. You kick ass. And thank you to all the listeners and members and people who buy our seed and support us, like you said, and are just all around awesome and make the GrowCast community and the cannabis community a little bit better.
Oh, I love it. Take care, buddy. You're the best. We love you. And we'll see you on the next show.
You too, man. Later on.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Be safe and grow smarter.
That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to Rhizo Rich. Don't touch that dial. We got some good stuff on the way. Make sure to check out growcastpodcast.com. There you can find the seeds. Grab some Rhizo Rich seeds. Of course, members of GrowCast membership getting $20 off per pack. You'll also find membership up there. Give it a try. So much bonus content, plus access to me and Mary Beth and Rich and Wolfman and the whole GrowCast team will help you out in your grow. Thank you to all the members, and stay tuned, everybody. We got some big stuff on the horizon. As always, 2024 is going to be a big year, so don't touch that dial. Stay tuned. Got some good stuff coming at you, and thank you for tuning in. All right, everybody. Have a great time in your grow. See you next time. Bye-bye.
That one excites me as well.